Canadian government was quietly presented with another option, a Canadian option, in fact, a Canadian legend.
Exactly 50 years ago today, when thousands who worked on the Avro Arrow got the news, the program was canceled.
Fighter jet, a new report showing the plane will now cost taxpayers more than $1.7 trillion.
The review of the F-35 acquisition project continues.
We cut approximately $600 million off the F-35 fighter, and that only amounts to 90 planes.
What if I told you Canada already built a fighter jet that could outperform today's most advanced aircraft and then deliberately destroyed it? Not because it failed, not because it was obsolete, but because it was too independent. That aircraft was the Avro Arrow, and here's the twist. In 2025, Canada is standing in front of the same decision again, only this time the world is watching. Exactly 66 years ago, Canada shocked the aerospace world. While global superpowers were still struggling with first-generation jets, Canadian engineers unveiled a Mach 2 interceptor so advanced that even the United States took notice. The Avro Arrow wasn't just an aircraft, it was proof that Canada could design, build, and control its own military technology without relying on anyone. Then, in 1959, something unbelievable happened. The program was canceled overnight. Finished aircraft were cut apart. Blueprints were destroyed. Thousands of engineers left Canada, many ending up at NASA and Lockheed Martin. Canada didn't just lose a jet, it lost its technological independence. For decades, the Arrow became a national wound, a symbol of what Canada could have been. Fast forward to today, in 2025, Canada faces another historic crossroads. Once again, it must choose how it defends its skies, and more importantly, who controls that defense. On one side stands the American F-35 Lightning II, powerful, stealthy, politically safe, already used by many NATO allies. On the other, something unexpected, a European alternative that quietly reopened the Arrow's ghost, the Saab Gripen E, backed by a Rolls-Royce engine production proposal inside Canada itself. This isn't just about buying fighter jets, this is about ownership versus dependency. The F-35 offers cutting-edge stealth, but it comes with invisible strings attached. Its software, mission systems, and upgrades are controlled by the United States. Every critical update requires American approval. Every major decision flows through Washington. Canada would fly the aircraft, but it would never truly own it. And in a world where trade disputes, Arctic sovereignty tensions, and global power shifts are accelerating, that dependency suddenly looks dangerous. The Gripen E tells a different story. Designed by Sweden, a nation that survived centuries without relying on superpowers, Gripen was built for autonomy. It can operate from highways, frozen runways, and remote locations with minimal crews. Its software architecture is open. Its mission systems can be modified by the user. And then comes the game changer, Rolls-Royce's proposal to manufacture fighter jet engines inside Canada itself. For the first time since 1959, Canada has a chance to re-enter the core of military aerospace technology, not as a subcontractor, but as a builder. This is where history starts whispering again. In 1959, Canada chose safety over sovereignty and paid the price for 60 years. In 2025, the same question returns. Will Canada remain a dependent ally or finally finish what the Arrow started? The lesson of the Arrow was never about speed or altitude. It was about control. Control over technology, control over decisions, control over destiny. And that is exactly what Canada risks losing again, unless it chooses differently this time. Look north. The Canadian Arctic is no longer a frozen buffer zone. It is the next global front line. Russia has reactivated over a dozen Cold War-era military bases across its Arctic coastline. Long-range bombers patrol near North American airspace. Advanced S-400 air defense systems now guard strategic routes through the polar region. China, calling itself a near-Arctic nation, is investing billions into ice-capable ships, satellite surveillance, and infrastructure projects from Greenland to Iceland. This isn't science fiction. This is happening now. And Canada sits in the middle, with vast territory, limited infrastructure, and only a handful of northern air bases. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The F-35 was never designed for this kind of war. It demands long, pristine runways. It relies on massive logistics chains. It needs specialized maintenance crews and constant software synchronization with U.S. command systems. In a sudden Arctic escalation, where aircraft must launch from temporary ice strips, highways, or isolated forward bases, the F-35 becomes vulnerable, slow to deploy, and operationally restricted. Gripen E was built for exactly this scenario. Designed for Nordic winters, it can operate in -40 degrees Celsius. It can take off from short reinforced roadways. 6 technicians can refuel, rearm, and relaunch it in under an hour. No massive bases, no exposed infrastructure, no dependence on a single supply chain. In Arctic warfare, flexibility beats perfection. But hardware is only half the story. The real battlefield is software. Every F-35 flight generates enormous amounts of operational data, and that data flows directly into U.S. battle management networks, targeting information, sensor fusion, mission planning, all integrated through American-controlled systems. That means Canada cannot act independently, even inside its own airspace, without alignment with Washington's strategic priorities. That's not alliance, that's subordination. Gripen changes that equation. Its open architecture allows Canada to control mission software, integrate weapons independently, and decide exactly what data is shared and with whom. No hidden switches, no remote shutdowns, no political leverage disguised as technology. This is what real sovereignty looks like in the 21st century. Now add Rolls-Royce to the picture. Engine production is the heart of military aviation. Master it, and you master metallurgy, thermal engineering, precision manufacturing, and advanced control software. Lose it, and you are forever dependent. Canada hasn't built a military jet engine since Arrow died. Not once, not ever. The Gripen Rolls-Royce proposal reopens that door. Thousands of high-skill jobs, a domestic supply chain, a generation of engineers no longer forced to leave for Silicon Valley or Seattle. This isn't defense spending. This is industrial resurrection. So why would Sweden and Britain offer what America never will? Because their philosophy is different. The United States builds systems of dependency. Sweden builds systems of empowerment. Gripen customers are encouraged to become independent. Brazil integrates its own weapons. European partners modify radar systems. Software access isn't feared, it's expected. America sells power. Sweden shares capability. And history tells us which one Canada needs. In 1959, Canada stood at a similar crossroads. One path was difficult, expensive, but free. The other was safe, convenient, but dependent. Ottawa chose safety. The Arrow was destroyed. The industry collapsed. The future was outsourced. For 60 years, Canada lived with that decision. Now the choice returns. F-35 offers comfort, approval, and familiarity. Gripen offers risk, responsibility, and autonomy. One path keeps Canada inside someone else's system. The other lets Canada rebuild its own. Arrow didn't fail because it was flawed. Arrow failed because Canada lacked the courage to finish it. Gripen is not the Arrow, but it carries the same question. Does Canada have the courage now? Because sovereignty isn't declared in speeches, it's built, engine by engine, line of code by line of code. In 1959, Canada walked away from its future. In 2025, history is knocking again. This time, Canada